A billionaire CEO walks into Judge Caprio's courtroom like he owns the place. Custom Italian suit, a Rolex on his wrist, a Bluetooth earpiece still lodged in his ear, a simple traffic violation, a red light camera, something that should be over in minutes. But from his very first word, it's obvious he doesn't believe rules apply to him. His name is Marcus Aldridge, CEO of Aldridge Global Holdings. A man whose wealth has taught him that time bends for money. He checks his watch before Judge Caprio even speaks. Let's make this quick. I have a board meeting coming up. Judge Caprio looks up slowly from the file. Mr. Aldridge, this is a courtroom, not a conference room. Remove the earpiece and give me your full attention. Marcus pulls it out with clear irritation. Fine, can we start? What happens next when a judge reminds a billionaire that money cannot buy respect? Becomes one of the most humiliating lessons ever delivered in open court. It's a Monday morning at Providence Municipal Court. The bailiff calls the next case. Marcus Aldridge steps forward, not walk steps with purpose. Everything about him announces power. A perfectly tailored suit, shoes polished like mirrors, diamond cufflinks catching the light. He doesn't look nervous. He looks inconvenienced. Judge Caprio reviews the citation. Mr. Aldridge, you're charged with running a red light at the intersection of Westminster and Empire. The camera shows your vehicle entering after the light had already changed. Do you recall this incident? Marcus glances at his phone. Not really. I drive through countless intersections, but I'm sure it happened. The evidence supports the citation. How do you plead? Guilty, obviously. So how much do I owe so I can leave? He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a leather checkbook. Actual paper checks, like the past never moved on without him. Let's settle this. I have investors flying in, and they don't wait. Judge Caprio's expression stays calm, but something sharp flashes behind his eyes. Mr. Aldridge, this is not about settling. This is a court hearing. With respect, Your Honor, I know how this works. I ran the light. I'll pay the fine. Let's not waste time with theatrics. You name the amount, I write the check. We're done. Judge Caprio's voice firms. The fine for this violation is $85. Marcus laughs, not nervously, amused. $85. I spend more than that on lunch. Let me give you $500, call it a donation. Traffic safety, renovations, whatever you like. The courtroom grows quiet. Judge Caprio's voice turns cold. Sir, I do not accept donations in place of... Following the law, Marcus sighs, as if correcting a child. Look, I respect process, but I'm a businessman. Time is money. My time is extremely valuable. Standing here costs me more than most people make in an hour. Your personal valuation does not change court procedure. Judge Caprio replies. Marcus smirks. Everything has a price, Your Honor. Everything. There's always a way to move faster if you're willing to pay. The courtroom shifts uncomfortably. Judge Caprio sets down his pen. Mr. Aldridge, let me be absolutely clear. This court does not operate on your timeline or your financial philosophy. We operate on the law. You will participate in this hearing, like every other citizen. Marcus straightens, his smile gone. I'm not like every other citizen. I employ thousands of people. I pay more in taxes than most people earn in their entire lives. I sit on multiple corporate boards. My company is worth billions. He pauses, confident. I think that earns me some flexibility. Judge Caprio meets his eyes without hesitation. Mr. Aldridge, your success does not buy you special treatment in this courtroom. I'm not asking for special treatment, Marcus says. I'm asking for efficient treatment. Judge Caprio doesn't blink. Efficient treatment is exactly what everyone receives here. You're going through the same process as the person before you and the person after you. That's when Marcus finally loses his patience. Your Honor, do you know who I am? He asks, leaning forward. I don't mean that arrogantly. I mean it literally. Do you know what Aldridge Global Holdings is? I'm aware of your company, Judge Caprio replies calmly. Then you know I control commercial real estate, tech startups, and venture capital all across the Northeast. I've invested in half of Providence's development projects over the last decade. He gestures toward the windows. The tech hub? 3 blocks from here. My investment? The luxury condos across the street? My project, the Innovation Center. Where I parked my Bentley this morning, my property. Judge Caprio's expression hardens. I'm aware you're a significant investor, Mr. Aldridge. I'm not just an investor, Marcus snaps. I'm an economic engine. When I fund a project, hundreds of jobs are created. When I invest, tax revenue pays for schools, roads, police courts. He pauses, then says it slowly. People like me keep cities like Providence running. Judge Caprio's voice drops, suddenly dangerous. People like you. Marcus realizes, too late, that he's stepped onto thin ice, but his ego won't let him stop. Your Honor, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just stating reality. Society has a hierarchy. Some people create value. Some people maintain systems. Both matter, but one is more vital. He shrugs slightly. Judges maintain systems. Billionaires create value. You enforce laws that people like me operate within. It's complementary, not competitive. Judge Caprio looks at him steadily. Mr. Aldrich, would you say that I work for you? Marcus hesitates. He knows it's a trap. In a philosophical sense, yes. My taxes help pay your salary. The economic activity my company generates funds this court system. Public servants serve taxpayers, and I'm one of the largest taxpayers in this state. The courtroom goes completely silent. So because you pay substantial taxes, Judge Caprio says, you believe I serve you. I believe we have a transactional relationship, Marcus answers. I contribute financially. The system provides services. Courts are part of that service infrastructure. Service infrastructure. Judge Caprio repeats quietly. An interesting way to describe the judicial branch. I'm not trying to offend you, Marcus insists. I'm being honest about how the world works. Money funds everything. Without taxpayers like me, there are no courts, no judges, no bailiffs. None of this exists without people creating wealth. So we should be grateful, Judge Caprio says. That's not what I said, Marcus snaps. But you're twisting my words. I'm just stating economic reality. Then he says the sentence that freezes the room. Look, Your Honor, I don't mean to be rude, but I own people like you. I own the buildings you work in. I own the infrastructure that makes your salary possible. So can we please finish this transaction so I can get back to actually creating value? For 5 long seconds, Judge Caprio says nothing. When he finally speaks, his voice is soft, but it lands like a gavel strike. Mr. Aldrich, did you just tell me that you own me? Marcus's confidence drains from his face. I didn't mean it literally, he stammers. I meant economically. You said, and I quote, I own people like you, Judge Caprio replies. There is no economic interpretation that makes that acceptable. I apologize if it came out wrong, Marcus says quickly. You were reminding me that you're rich, and I'm not, Judge Caprio continues, that you create value. And I merely maintain systems, that your time is worth $300 a minute, and mine is worth nothing. He leans forward slightly. Let me tell you something, Mr. Aldrich.
I've been a judge for more than 3 decades, Judge Caprio says. I've seen billionaires and broke college students, corporate executives and homeless veterans. And here's what experience teaches you: money doesn't determine character. Power doesn't create wisdom. And wealth absolutely does not buy respect. Marcus has gone pale. Your Honor, I sincerely apologize. I was out of line. You were more than out of line, Judge Caprio replies evenly. You were contemptuous. He leans forward. You walked into this courtroom believing your billions exempted you from basic human decency. You treated this hearing like a business transaction, and when I didn't bow to your financial status, you told me you own me. Marcus opens his mouth. Stop talking, Judge Caprio says quietly. Marcus freezes. Judge Caprio turns to his computer and begins typing, slowly, deliberately. The courtroom is so silent you can hear people breathing. Mr. Aldrich, the standard fine for running a red light is $85. That's what you expected to pay. But we are no longer in a standard situation. He looks up and locks eyes with Marcus. Under Rhode Island law, judges have discretion to enhance penalties when a defendant shows contempt for judicial authority. Your behavior today is a textbook example of contempt. Marcus's hands begin to shake. You referred to court proceedings as theater. You tried to buy efficiency by overpaying. You suggested your time was more valuable than the courts. You implied public servants exist only because wealthy people allow them to. And you told a sitting judge that you own him. I'll pay any fine, Marcus blurts out. I'll donate to any cause. Please, the fine for the red light violation, Judge Caprio says, cutting him off, is increased from $85 to $5,000. A gasp ripples through the courtroom. Marcus's face turns white. $5,000 for running a red light less than 2 seconds late. No, Judge Caprio replies calmly, $85 for the red light. $4,915 for contempt of court. That's insane, Marcus snaps. You can't charge me $5,000 for speaking honestly. I'm not charging you for honesty, Judge Caprio says, I'm charging you for contempt. For treating this courtroom like a transaction. For suggesting money exempts you from respect. And for telling me that you own me. I apologized, Marcus insists. I said it came out wrong. You apologized after you saw my reaction, Judge Caprio responds, that's not remorse. That's damage control. This is an abuse of judicial power, Marcus says angrily. I'll appeal this. My lawyers will, please do, Judge Caprio replies without hesitation, I encourage it. Because every appellate court in this state will watch the video of you telling a judge, I own people like you. And I'm confident they'll uphold this ruling. Marcus tries one last angle, Your Honor, I employ 4,000 people. I have a company to run. Investors. Clients. Responsibilities. And I have a courtroom to run, Judge Caprio says firmly, with rules that apply equally to everyone. He pauses, billionaire or broke. Real estate mogul or unemployed single parent. In this room, your billions mean absolutely nothing. Judge Caprio isn't finished, but Mr. Aldridge, I'm going to do something else. The courtroom stiffens, I'm suspending your driver's license for 15 days. Marcus's eyes fly open, suspending my license. For a red light ticket. For contempt of court, Judge Caprio replies, and for showing a pattern of believing traffic laws don't apply to you. He continues evenly, for 15 days, you will not drive. You will use public transportation. You will walk. You will experience what millions of Americans live with every single day, without luxury vehicles, without chauffeurs, without convenience on demand. This is outrageous, Marcus snaps. I have meetings. I have obligations. Then I suggest you plan accordingly, the judge says calmly. Uber. Lyft. The bus. Walk. I don't care. But for 15 days, you will not operate a vehicle in Rhode Island. The gallery watches in stunned silence, and there's more, Judge Caprio adds, you will complete 50 hours of community service at Providence Community Kitchen. Murmurs ripple through the room, they serve meals to homeless individuals and low-income families. You'll work wherever they need you, serving food, washing dishes, taking out trash. Marcus stares at him. You're assigning a billionaire to wash dishes? I'm assigning a man who needs humility to serve people he's clearly never noticed, Judge Caprio replies. Maybe 50 hours alongside people who struggle to afford their next meal will teach you that human value isn't measured in dollars. This is humiliating. No, Judge Caprio says firmly, this is accountability. He signals to the clerk, Mr. Aldridge, you have 30 days to pay the $5,000 fine. You have 90 days to complete your community service. Your license is suspended effective immediately for 15 days. Do you understand? Marcus swallows hard, yes. And one more thing, Judge Caprio adds, you spoke about what you own. Buildings. Infrastructure. You implied ownership gives you status. He leans forward, let me be clear about what you do not own. You do not own justice. You do not own respect. You do not own the rule of law. And you absolutely do not own the people who dedicate their lives to public service. He pauses, I grew up in a working-class neighborhood. My father was a tailor. My mother cleaned houses. They taught me that a person's worth has nothing to do with their bank account, and everything to do with their character. His gaze sharpens, your character today was lacking. Marcus nods, humiliated, unable to meet the judge's eyes. You're dismissed, Judge Caprio says. I suggest you figure out your transportation for the next 15 days. The bus schedule is online. Marcus walks out with his head down, past rows of silent spectators, people who just watched a billionaire be reduced to equal footing. Outside the courthouse, Marcus reaches for his phone to call his driver. Then he remembers .no license. 15 days that he stands on the sidewalk, a $2.4 billion man unable to drive the Bentley parked 3 blocks away. That he opens his phone and downloads Uber for the first time in his life. The car that arrives is an aging Honda Civic. The driver doesn't recognize him. How's your day going? The driver asks. Marcus exhales, honestly. Worst day of my life. Yeah, the driver says. Tomorrow's another day, right? Marcus looks out the window as Providence rolls by from the back seat of someone else's car. Maybe tomorrow is another day. Marcus Aldridge's story reminds us that entitlement and arrogance eventually meet their match in a fair courtroom. That money can't buy respect. And that accountability applies to everyone. Judge Frank Caprio proves once again that real authority doesn't need to be loud or cruel. It only needs to be firm, fair, and unwavering. The question is simple. When success comes, do we demand special treatment, or do we remember that wealth and status don't excuse us from decency, responsibility, and the law? In a courtroom, character matters far more than a bank balance. And judges like Frank Caprio make sure justice remains blind to money.